exactly is Gen AI? I mean, we do hear a lot of buzz around it, and we hear terms like large language models and generative AI and foundation models. But from a business user point of view, what exactly is Gen AI, and how would you explain it to users who seem to be very overwhelmed with the buzz around it? So let me extend a very warm welcome to all our listeners on this first episode of the Iksula Podcast for the year 2024. I wish everyone a very happy new year as well, and we're really hoping that 2024 is a year of growth and prosperity for everyone. Looking back at 2023, we did hear a lot of buzz around generative AI, and we thought that it continuing its growth and the buzz around it, it will probably be the most apt topic for us to do a deep dive conversation on what Gen AI is and what it will be able to deliver this particular year, especially for the e-commerce businesses. So what we have also seen is there has been a huge hype on Gen AI capabilities. At the same time, we are also seeing some very tangible applications being built out of that. So today we're going to talk to two experts we have who have been using Gen AI in e-commerce from very different vantage points, and we would love to hear from them what they have in store for 2024. So let me introduce my guests today. I have Samar. Samar is one of the earliest e-commerce entrepreneurs in India with Bazi.com. He was part of eBay. Pretty much the first generation of Indian e-commerce entrepreneurs. Samar is currently building a luxury eyewear brand called Shizen Fox, and he's driving it into hyper growth mode. My second guest today is Abhishek, or AJ as we call him. And AJ has spent over 10 years helping leading e-commerce companies globally in finding very innovative ways to solve their business challenges and solve them at scale. He currently drives innovation and at Iksula. So, without further ado, I'll jump into it and let me throw this question to AJ. AJ, what exactly is Gen AI? I mean, we do hear a lot of buzz around it, and we hear terms like large language models and generative AI and foundation models. But from a business user point of view, what exactly is Gen AI, and how would you explain it to users who seem to be very overwhelmed with the buzz around it?
Thanks, Anurag. Before I actually cover the business part of it, Anurag, I just want to also to our audience maybe give a quick a glimpse of how Gen AI has evolved, right? So we are, obviously AI has been there for a longer time now. However, the specifics on AI, which is the generative piece of it, whether it is on the image side or it is on the text side, has kind of started picking up in past 2 3 years, right? With OpenAI coming in, Microsoft investing, billions of dollars around OpenAI, right? Google launching their Bird platform, Facebook spending on Llama platform, right? So these are obviously very large text model, right? So when I say text model, so you give the input in the text and you get the content in the output as a text as well, right? And then you have other applications from a generative perspective evolving, right? So primarily from a image perspective, right? So businesses are now able to generate new images, right, using again multiple models like stable diffusion, mid journey coming in, right? And then similarly using it for other applications like music, audio, and solving multiple business problems, right? So in these 3 years, what has happened is, especially OpenAI, etc. These all have really democratized the way the AI has to be used as a technology in an organization, right? And that's where and they have been trained on billions of parameters, billions of data, right? And that's where they're giving significant advantage to the businesses solving their problem, right? When we talk about specifically about e-commerce, it covers multiple areas where GenAI has showed a lot of applications in 2023, and we will see similar kind of applications running in going forward, right? So from generating product content to taking care of the supply chain, enabling search and personalization, or enhancing the customer experience, right? Doing the customer sentiment analysis, marketing, right? All of these are the areas where Gen AI has kind of influenced a lot, right? And We'll obviously see a lot of this going forward in 2024 only, also, right? Wherein Gen AI specifically will have applications in all these areas, right? So businesses, Anurag has started investing in each of the areas. There are multiple players coming in, solving each problem within e-commerce, and we'll obviously see the similar trend going forward in 2024 also.
Got it. So let me put this next question to Samar. Samar, as somebody who's building this business, from that vantage point, you would have heard the buzz around Gen AI. Where was your starting point? How did you decide, okay, this is something that I can do, which will help Shizen Fox and the growth mode that you are in?
Uh, Thanks, Anurag. Thanks, Abhishek, for giving this opportunity. Uh, from a brand and lifestyle accessories brands vantage point, Anurag, when we started thinking about our business and started to look at two kind of challenges. One is once you are starting a new brand, one a big challenge is cost. You want to every rupee is or every dollar is extremely relevant, and you want to make sure that it is invested in the highest growth area. So I would say money is one, and second is your ability to get customer traction as quickly as possible. And the third key vantage standpoint is where you're looking that your brand starts getting attention from the potential target segment you have. So from these three vantage points, we started thinking what are the most important and most expensive things for us. So for example, from accessory lifestyle brand, one of the big challenge you have is how do you how do you produce a good quality content, because you are in a business of creating aspiration. How do you do that? So you have to do your advertising shoots, you have to do your video ads, you have to today social media is extremely relevant to create branding in the minds of the customer. So a lot of stills, a lot of reels, and we realized that the cost of production would eat up all the budget we have for potentially marketing. So that's where one thought started saying, how do you figure out quicker, faster way of doing producing this content? And that's where we started looking at AI. How can we create multiple shoots in multiple environments using AI, so that uh, we are able to produce content which is very, very attractive but at a very, very reasonable cost. The second area was that we started looking at personalization as an area where and learning while doing personalization, a lot of competitive intelligence as to what keywords, what your competition brand is doing, what TG and what cohorts would exactly fit in your brand ethos and brand profiles. So a lot of data to potentially use artificial intelligence technologies to personalize your campaigns and then optimize your advertising costs. So these are two buckets: content production and potential areas where we thought that it could help us. Then even we started looking at we were in a eyewear category, and we realized that how do you create virtualization in terms of let's say how can people see by putting the product on themselves, so that the thought on virtual reality and all that came into being. So this is where we started thinking about all of this.
Got it. Thanks, Samar. So this area, this particular area has been extremely exciting. I mean, creating that images, and we have been talking about. So Abhishek, why don't you take us through some of the work that your team is doing and how that actually helps businesses? I mean, beyond what Samar just spoke about, what are some of the other applications you're also seeing? And then I would love to do a deep dive into two or three practical work that we have done, because I think that will showcase what AI is being able to do as a
Got it. So, Anurag, I'll just give a cut, right? So, we are trying to essentially cater, let's say, two sort of audience, right? One are, let's say, retailers, and the second are brands, right? When we speak to retailers, obviously their problem is of a scale, doing production at a scale, and doing the cost optimization at a scale, right? And Samar obviously gave the view around brands, right? When they are looking
Mhm.
for, more around customer experience, right? How the shoots can be better and all, right? But so retailers, we are looking for a scale problem, and that's where we are trying to and we are working with multiple people there, multiple customers there, where we are solving that problem, right? So, for example, specifically on retailers, the use cases are around, how you can generate the product tags at a scale, right? Because those tags are essentially they are leveraging for a lot of data analytics purpose, right? Which they essentially use for planning, which they essentially use for customer targeting, which they essentially use for personalization, right? So that's where product tagging is one of the areas which we are working specifically
Mhm.
with large retailers, and again brands also leverage it, but it really solves the problem when we are generating the product tests for them at a much reduced cost and the faster way. Previously it used to happen manually, wherein the people actually used to sit and write that this product has these tags, but now we are able to kind of generate that using artificial intelligence, right?
So,
Similarly, if you look at other areas, we again are solving the problems around content moderation, right? Again, specifically with retailers, with brands, we are seeing issues a lot around content quality, right? And this is finally impacting their end consumer experience, right? That's where we are able to identify a lot of content issues when it comes to product content, right? For example, identifying whether the content has any inappropriate words, right? Whether the content is rightly placed, right? Whether the content is in alignment with the images, whether the content is in alignment with their features, etc., right? So those kind of content moderation use case also we have implemented for very large retailers, globally. Again, a lot of use around AI wherein we are reading the images and trying to generate all of these specific
got
things.
it.
Maybe
Samar, sorry, I
yeah.
would sorry, AJ, but Samar, would you want to share some perspective, some real life examples where you are using AI, for example, content moderation, like in
I think
contests or user generated content when we do?
Uh, I think product content is some area. Anurag, we were facing a trouble that, let's say you launch one batch of one product range, and the next time you asked the product content writer to write, in spite of significant guidelines, the product content tone went into some other direction, and we realized that the content tone and the consistency was one particular thing which could be of significant value, and we leveraged AI on that front. To Abhishek's example, for us, the number of products are not more than 40, 50 in that respect. So the scale of content quality is not something which is relevant to us, to the use case which Abhishek did. But in my past avatar, during the Bazi and eBay days, we know that we were looking at millions and millions of product content, and there uh, this solution, I know, I remember how many bodies we used to put behind this, and we were and the interesting point is that since you are a largish companies and you can't make a mistake of launching such a product, there was tremendous amount of delay. And I'll give you an example. So once we were having a global discussion, and we were about to launch, let's say, a batch of 100,000 products, and we were delayed by a month. And based on our conversion rate, I remember the global CEO asking us, saying that if you put this conversion rate, you've lost an opportunity of $10 million just by delaying it by 1 month. So today business is at the speed of thought. So you you have to beat everybody on speed, quality, and every minute lost is
Hmm.
a revenue opportunity lost. So I see a real value in this
Got it.
solution.
Yep. AJ, what else would you want to do where your team is really investing energies and where you see global retailers, global brands investing and leveraging AI? I mean, what actually something that works as of now?
So one obviously is we covered around taggings, right? One data quality or the content moderation, then competition intelligence, wherein a lot of AI is used to match data between multiple retailers to compare price assortment specifically. But one of the important use case that we are specifically solving for brands is around content shoot, right? And typically the way we have seen, content shoot really happening is, in our previous days, we used to, have a model, we used to define the locations, right? We need to select a stylist, right? All of these has to be kind of brought together, right? And then obviously, then the shoot was running for days, right? And that is one of the problem that we are trying to solve for brands, right? Wherein we are kind of feeding a lot of original image, right? And which essentially helps in generating the content using AI, especially specifically the images. So not only, let's say, the images with one background, but let's say with multiple backgrounds, lifestyle, office settings, right? Which essentially can be leveraged across multiple creatives, right? So that is one of the important problems that we are trying to solve for brands. I would like to hear more views from Samar on specifically on this.
Absolutely. I think Samar, you're somebody who's doing it live, so we would love to hear your views and how
Yeah,
this
yeah.
fits.
So I think I did mention right at the beginning saying that, so for example, one of our TG is that uh, we are looking to potentially, we are realizing that our prescription eyewear, so we sell frames and sunglasses both, but our prescription eyewear is more like by people who are beyond, let's say, 30 plus years of age, who have an X amount of income, and their lifestyle is their lifestyle choices are based on that age group, as well as their income in terms of they are they are either a corporate executive or an entrepreneur, and they spend a lot of time there. So that's one kind of a lifestyle stream you can see. Then they since they have decent disposable income, they are adventurous, they travel across the world, whether it's beaches, whether it's mountains. So now if you have to show that our product is product usage or product is relevant in all these environments, so we have to go across the world and keep on shooting these products in all these environments. And we realize that this could be solved with technology. So you can actually see that there's a product shot just in one frame, and I think it's Anurag who's been put in the picture there, and we've been able to put it on all different models in different contexts to create the aspiration and create a connection with the TG in an aspiration as well as in a lifestyle context kind of a structure. And we have seen that such images get better response on the social media in terms of CTR and potential conversion, and also in terms of advertising banners which could be used either on social media or search as a platform, as well as in marketplaces. In fact, I personally think that they could be even used in retail advertisement, because as a brand we are making that move in next couple of months, and
Mhm.
we are surely waiting if it. So this could be in retail advertisement, shelf advertisement, which could be potentially created using all of this.
So are these real models who have, I mean, I recognize myself in the first image. That's great. But are these real models, or are these created by AI using my image as a reference?
That Abhishek can tell.
Abhishek, walk us through the
Yes,
magic.
yes, yes. Basically, what we use is essentially the angle that you are in, Anurag, right? The angle and the image as a base, right?
Hmm.
And then, again, we leverage multiple, AI models, right, to kind of generate these specific images, right? What's really important is, when you kind of work on all of these is how accurate are the prompts, right? How accurately you understand the need, right? And how accurately you can, kind of give the prompts to the model, right? And that's where these user inputs or these initial, we call them training, right? In our AI terminology, right? So essentially, a little bit of training is also required, right? And accordingly, the prompts can play to generate these images. I'll also add one specific point, which Samar anyways covered, right? But with brands, what we are also realize is when they are looking for a global footprint, right? And that's where when you are looking for a models from multiple ethnicity, multiple regions, that's where this is really, really solving the problem, right? So uh, sitting, let's say in India or US, you can really, scale your production and solve that problem, right? of my
In fact, so the ambition for this eyewear brand is global, and we are about within next 15 to 20 days we should be launching this product using Amazon in the US, in UK, as well as in the GCC nations. And this was one of the briefs which we had to figure out a solution by finding a way to put it on a colored model to a Caucasian, to a Hispanic, to a Middle Eastern, and we were able to solve that problem and create imagery in that respect. So we are actually able to create blocks by context and models in the Indian kind of Indian faces to Middle Eastern faces to Caucasian faces to colored faces to whatever.
Got it. So what does it do for business? I mean, in terms of, let's say, the two aspects I would think of. One is what does it do to the velocity of business, and second, what does it do to the cost of doing business? And I'll take two views. I think Samar, from you, the business view in terms of what does it save, and Abhishek, you may want to help us understand what is the cost of running these operations, and over time, where does the break even come in? Samar,
Uh,
from you first.
Anurag, for example, if you're doing such a shoot across the globe, each shoot would cost you $25,000. Minimum in that respect can be upwards of it. And if let's say do it in six regions, six locations, it's 150 to $200,000 spent, and that will be still six locations, and you can't scale it.
Hmm.
And in the realm of today's new age brand building, where the media consumption is by is I would say 100 times a day, because the social media is the new way you distribute your content, or and people's ability to just click and connect with different kind of content. You have to match the speed which others can match, and so the quantity of content which you need to create, multiple contexts of the content has to be a large volume. So even if you spend $200,000, you will actually get six contexts and six different things. But we need even more than that to compete in today's environment. And I
Correct.
think this provides an opportunity at a absolute decimal fraction of that cost.
And especially if you're doing your product lineup refresh every 6 months, which means you're spending that 200K every 6 months.
One is product refresh, Anurag, but the other one is that your potential customer wants to see the same product in multiple contexts and
Right.
multiple environments for them to potentially start making up their mind to moving towards potentially
Hmm.
considering you as an option to purchase the product.
Got it. Got it. So, Abhishek, from a technology perspective, I know, I mean, image generation is expensive, but how
Yeah.
expensive? Where does it compare? I mean, it's early days, but what's your view on that?
So, from a image generation perspective, Anurag, so one, obviously the efforts goes into, the entire fine tuning of the prompt, right? Because the way businesses are using is essentially, one is consuming the existing model, or they are customizing the existing model. That's the way currently these AI technologies have been leveraged, right? So in consumption, specifically, they are directly integrating with the models which are existing in the market, like for example, stable diffusion, etc. Right? And in customization, they are also customizing and fine-tuning as per their need to generate the model requirement. Right? And obviously, in consumption, the cost would be little lesser because you are directly leveraging the technology as is, right? And maybe just playing with prompts, right? In customization, when you train with a lot of your data, so that training cost, etc., would always come into play, right? However, if I just to give the cost of, let's say, these models which has come in, for example, if you look at Chat GPT 4 which has come in, right? Broadly generating an image would cost around not more than 12 cents per image, right? But if you kind of look at for a product, right, if you're generating 10 images even for that product, right, so that would not go beyond not more than $1 or two, right? So that the advantage. Obviously you'll have to add other infra and the fine tuning cost, right? But I think that is like more of a one kind of one time kind of cost. The regular cost would be in these ranges, and that's where we have seen the production cost specifically in shoots coming really, really down drastically.
Got it. Got it. Great. So, I mean, what I was completely blown away when I saw the images, and I did from my source image to be able to generate these. I think that's a really massive progress and the growth that has had, and we'll keep working on these. But I am pretty sure that this year we are going to see a lot of transformation happening on this particular front. Okay, moving next. We have Samar. We were briefly discussing about one more aspect of how on the advertising side. So you mentioned a use case that you tried a few weeks back. Do you want to just talk about it from a creating videos and multimedia clips?
Yeah, I think, is there a video there? If you can play
Yeah,
that
I'm
video.
just gonna try and do that.
I think there's some challenge with the video there. So this is a full-fledged ad, which is a reel which we have created in form of an advertisement on Instagram, which on the background has a music of a brand, we have brand music, which is available on Spotify, and which comes as a hook tone on this brand. I don't know if you paid attention to it. We have been able to create an imagery on multiple ethnicity models to wear a brand, and as Abhishek said, that we have been able to do it at a fraction of cost. So this was unthinkable and unimaginable before, where your product has been worn by every potential ethnicity, and you're able to create that video and potentially take it across to the audience. And in fact, this video got us a better CTR and a better conversion rate than a real video which we have shot on a beachside video, because we were able to get more. Uh, we were able to create an imagery which is more closer, tighter, and more structured around what we are able to around our audience and their aspirations.
Got it. And
This is a completely AI generated images ad. None of these models exist and have been shot. Any of them. It was complete an AI generated one.
got it. I think again, extremely powerful application. This is truly transforming the business. I'm not sure where what it will do to models and all, but I think we will see those aspects as well. But Abhishek, what technology, what's the tech side of things look like on this? I mean, again, what kind of skill sets do you need to create these? What role do designers play? What role do creative designers, creative artists play in creating something like this?
Sure.
So, specifically, let's say if we were to talk about this shoot, right? So one is obviously you require the skills on the AI side of it, and when I specifically say AI, so you know, prompt engineering, is something that you need to really perfect that, right? And you need to understand that okay, these are the prompts which would essentially work to generate the kind of images which we are looking as per brand, brand guidelines, right? And then fine tuning those prompts etc is something that is being needed. Then somebody who understand these models and maybe can fine tune and then can refine or train with some bit of user data, right? So an AI specialist in those direction, specifically for image, somebody who understand computer vision etc is kind of needed, right? And then while these technologies are there, right, there is some element of, let's say, human in the loop, right, for, let's say, final touch-ups within the creatives, right, within the design, right, just to make sure that they look more real, right? So broadly this, and obviously the underlying infra of the cloud etc also come into play. Somebody who can manage the cloud is essentially being needed, right? And important thing is, the feedback from the business users specifically come into play. Specifically the creative guy who has an eye for detail, right? Specifically on the shoot. So those kind of skill set are still there, right? Who can understand that, okay, this is the finished image, finished product.
Got it. Got it. So broadly, the creative expertise still is extremely valuable, probably even more because now
Yeah.
the higher end of creative expertise will become even more valuable. But at a very operational end, that will become less valuable, probably because a lot of that can be done by these AI models as well. Interesting, very
Yeah.
good. So net, what we see is there's going to be a massive change to uh, overall customer experience. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I think there was some digital snafu. My bad. But we are looking at the overall customer experience and what other things, AJ Abhishek, you are seeing. I think from what customers are talking to you about, from what your team is working on.
So, the other things is that we're specifically working on with customers is the search and the personalization piece of it, right?
Hmm.
These technologies have been there, right? But with the new, uh, AI elements or new models essentially coming in, these technologies are also evolving, right? So we have seen Solar, Elastic, these kind of search there, right? But specifically when it comes to search using large language models,
Hmm.
more contextual search, more refined search, right, has started happening, right? Similarly, on the personalization side, we are also seeing a lot of impact, right? So let's say if Anurag, you kind of go as a visitor on a website versus
Hmm.
I go on a visitor as a website, we two would see a different view altogether, right? Again, based on our history, right? So Gen AI is kind of able to leverage all those historical data and then kind of give the specific treat to each and every consumer, right? The
Hmm.
next is, what we have seen specifically for the likes of very, very large, fashion retailers, right? Like Myntra, etc. Right. So they are essentially trying and, the virtual try on, right? So what would, or the virtual, dressing room, right? Wherein the user can essentially, uh, try and look how the product would essentially look on them, right? Similarly, if users are also relating to the models of their size, right, or their kind of body shape, etc., right? So that's where they can select the model and try multiple dresses on them, right? So that they can broadly understand how essentially the dress would fit on them. That dress would fit on them. The next is related to the dressing room is essentially the personal stylist, right? Again, the concept that we spoke about, tags, etc., those are being leveraged, to understand what would go, let's say, with a t-shirt, which denim would go, right? Which
Hmm.
accessories would go, right? But the personal stylist also has come into play. Again, all the tags and all being fed into, the AI models, and then AI is essentially suggesting that, this accessories or this denim will go with this shirt, right? So these kind of things have started coming in specifically for the brands and retailer, right? This is something that we are trying with a lot of brands specifically, right? And we are seeing a lot of success when it comes to the end consumer experience, and obviously the conversion rate.
Got it. Understood. Understood. Samar, your thoughts. I mean, what would you want the customer AI to do to further enhance the consumer experience or the buyer
Yes,
experience?
so in fact, Anurag, I saw one of the slides where you were highlighting the whole VR. Yes. So in our case, what we did is that so we have a product which is you want to see it on your face. So in fact, it is one of the biggest accessory anybody wears on the face
Yeah.
in that respect, and it can actually completely change your personality, the way you look. So one of the things customers have is that if they're going online and they want to first make a short list of brands which they want to buy through retail, or they want to shortlist before they check out through an online transaction, they want to try multiple products online. So we did a contest, and you can see that people are trying multiple specs on themselves. They were making reels around it, which led to engagement. But the most important thing is that people are able to see, customers are able to see that how it looks on looks on them. Even we use some level of data and AI personalization to actually decide that which kind of uh, virtual try-on videos, which our potential customers were tagging us and putting up on, should go up on our social handles and which should not.
Mhm.
So we did multiple of these iteration, and it was very appreciated by our consumers. We could see every day at least 200-300 different virtual try-on videos coming up, and people really having fun with it.
Got it.
We could see the engagement level, and
Mhm.
then potentially even some impact with a little bit of lag on sales also.
Understood. So yeah, the user generated content has become is a big area of focus for brands, and I think that's where these tools are also helping. I think we always speak about the Coca-Cola initiative, which they did, I think, about a year back. They were doing that generative AI. They created that portal with where you
Yeah,
could create images using I think the Coca-Cola experience. I'm forgetting the name, but that.
yes, correct.
So, I mean, all great things, but what's the catch here? I mean, what are some of the real limitations that we are seeing? And AJ, again, question to you: what are some of those real boundaries that we have right now, and how is your team working on overcoming those?
So, uh, Anurag, specifically, let's say, if we were to talk from retailer and brand standpoint, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, these large models are there, right? Whether you talk with respect to text or with respect to images, these large models are there, right? Now, brands and retailers are have to really consume those, right? But when you look at the full product content value chain, right? So you have the photo shoot, you need to generate images, you need to do content moderation, you need to generate videos, you need to, let's say, generate, even enhanced content, right? So this is a full value chain, right? And that's where what we have done specifically and collaborated for multiple retailers and brands is we kind of have a product content automation stack, right, wherein we are kind of covering the entire journey, in one system, right? And that's where, retailers or brand, the problem that we are solving is they don't necessarily need to go to multiple models. Like, for text, they don't have to go to, chat GPT or a llama model. They don't have to go for stable diffusion and, try and figure out multiple models, right? Which is a challenge for them, right? Because multiple skills are needed to try, multiple model. In vision, you need a computer vision skill. In text, you need a, somebody who's expert on the text side, right? So that's how we are essentially trying to solve that problem, wherein we have created the full automation stack around it, which does these in which generates the full value for the customer, right? If I were to touch very specifically in image, right? So the stable diffusion model and the mid journeys of the worlds are evolving at this point of time, right? And when we were working with Season Fox, right? Obviously, we leverage a lot of prompts to generate, how the model should look like and how the image should look like. But the finesse is something that, the last mile is something that we are kind of working with the Season Fox team to kind of ensure that, the accessories fits well on the specs, and it really looks well, right? And similarly, if I move beyond image, and I want Samar also to speak more on image, right? But if I move beyond image, the category identification piece, right? So while the category identification happens at a L1 level, right? So this product, let's say, belong to apparel, but what exactly is within apparel is something that, is something that model needs to be trained more on, right? Similarly, on the translation side, we work with a lot of customers specifically on the translation side, right? And we have been able to do a lot of translation in Arabic and multiple languages, right? But again, the context of that particular region is something that, model needs to be, groomed on, right? And that's where the human in the loop component is still there, for all of these.
Got it. Summer, any thoughts from you on this one?
I think the thought is that the insights, once you have the insight and a predictable operating model on it, then you can use AI. But wherever uh, that that data set is not large enough, and there's not been strong predictability of that outcome, I think you still need a little bit of manual layer. But what I'm realizing is that it is still solving a major part of the challenge and allowing you to develop a lot of speed and scale, which was unimaginable without having the same, especially when you're operating at significant scale or
Mhm.
significant speed, whichever is one of your goals.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think it's about time to wrap up. AJ, any final thoughts from you in terms of what people should keep in mind when experimenting with Gen AI in 2024? And after that, we'll take a few questions from the audience, from the live audience, and then we can wrap up.
Yeah. No, I think Anurag, the lot of models are already there, right? A lot of thing is already there, right? And brands and retailers needs to define what essentially the priorities are, right? Obviously, there would be a lot of investment which will go into training the model, right? So maybe they can consume the models one, do some pilot at their end, right, to see the efforts and the ROI of that particular thing going in, and then eventually they can specifically train the models for their business use case, right? So that's the thing. And the image model is something that are evolving, and we would definitely see a lot of work will be done in 2024, right? And we'll get more accuracy on that side. So that is something to watch for when it comes to 2024, right?
Mhm.
And the uses of those across marketing, as Samar mentioned, across ads, right? And beyond product content also, right? In supply chain, customer service, etc. Would definitely would go up specifically in coming years.
Got it. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. From our audience, do we have any questions for these two gentlemen? One from who's using AI and one who's building it for customers.
I think there are a few on the chat, Anurag, I just saw.
Let me just check. Samar. Okay, so there's a question from CP4. One is around ethics and copyrights, and second is, are you using these Gen AI models for doing product design, like designing the specs by itself?
I think the second one I can surely pick up. The first one, I think you both would have a better idea.
Huh.
Uh, I think for us, we are a new brand. We have been in the business for 6 months. So we do not have sufficient amount of text-based feedback or database feedback on the product to start mining and then starting the design process on it. But I'm very sure and very clear that we should look at that kind of a data to actually completely look at designing our products from the future. So whether there is a feedback on the temple, whether it is the feedback on the on the weight of the product, whether it is color, whether it is style, and I'm very sure as we start getting more reviews on our website, on our marketplace platforms, and many other on Google, that content and that context of the content would be extremely specific and sharp for us to start taking all those inputs into our design. It's just early days for us. Maybe 6 months from now, when we start looking to design the third batch of our products, we would surely start looking at this information to design the products.
Thank you. Thanks, Summer, for answering that. Abhishek, any views on the ethics and copyrights?
So specifically on copyright, when it comes to we are doing a lot of product content, and the beauty of these large language models is, right, even if you kind of give the same prompt, they will kind of throw you a different output altogether, right? And that's where specifically on the copyright problem on the content side, on the product content description, feature bullets, etc., right? We have been able to avoid, right? Because every time you throw a prompt, then it's kind of given a different outcome. And then there is always a human in the loop, to kind of check if this content is somewhere else, right? So let's say the AI has generated some content, right? The team essentially go through the quick check whether this content exists or not to avoid any copyright violation. So that is still there, right? Wherein the team is essentially checking for those issues, right? Specifically on the text side. On the images side, what we have seen is, whenever again you give a new prompt, you are kind of getting very different images altogether, right? So yet, the copyright issues are not propping up when you compare the AI generated image with other. But then again, there are some human in the loop to take care of those issues as well.
I think on the ethics part, from our side, we are making sure that wherever we're using content which is generated by AI, we are very forthright in mentioning it that this is a content generated out of AI, so that we are being extremely transparent to our customer, saying that this is a AI generated model, and we are not very interestingly, it was an apprehension in our mind, and I have not seen any apprehension in the mind of the consumers. They are ready. I think it seems that marketers and business enthusiasts are more limited by their vision rather than the consumers.
Also, one point that I would add specifically on ethics side, when you look at from retailer and brand perspective. So let's say if a retailer, as a retailer, as a brand, you are training a particular model, let's say large model like LLM, like OpenAI, etc., on your data, right? So that data essentially is not being used to train the entire ChatGPT, right? So that is something that, at least, OpenAI and these models are really ethical about, right? So
Hmm.
whatever data you use to train are essentially for your use cases only and your output only, right? So that data won't be leveraged for for other customers or other business use case. So that is something that we have seen, right? Obviously, we'll see more of this thing in 2024. What happens specifically on these two, on ethics and copyrights.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've reached a 45-minute limit, so it's time to wrap this up. But thank you, Summer, and thank you, AJ, for this very insightful and very interesting session on this. And thank you, AJ, for making me a eyewear model. Really appreciate that. Um, Thank you, everyone, for joining in live. We'll be putting this on LinkedIn Live, and we'll be listing this as a podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So please do listen to us whenever you get a chance again. And we'll be back in another few weeks with the latest episode of the Iksula Podcasts. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.